I think Michael's doing a really good job, and if he continues with this form till the end of the season, then they have to give him the job.
There's something about him that the fans aren't buying at the moment, Slot. He's got to reconnect there as well.
I think Xabi Alonso being a free agent.
I'm not sure for Alonso for Liverpool, you know.
You're not?
No. I thought Mikel Arteta's his messages he was putting out there, what he's given to his players, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Anyway, I got a shave last night. Yeah, I felt like I wanted to freshen it up.
Slap that on the socials, 50,000 views immediately.
Yeah, no, I got a shave, yeah. And then I kept my moustache and dyed it for the kids this morning and told them I was going to go to the game with it, but obviously I weren't brave enough.
What colour did you dye it?
It was like a dark brown.
Right. Did you go handlebar?
No. The only worry was actually if the dye went onto my skin and I couldn't get it off.
That would have been a funny sight.
Okay, then we've got the breaking news out of the way. Wayne has had a shave. As you can hear, Wayne and Kay are back with us, and you may have heard a different voice there as well. We're also joined by Jonathan Northcroft, chief football correspondent for the Times and Sunday Times. Jonathan, I promise we are a serious podcast some of the time. You haven't joined some absolute chaos, and we are going to talk about some football, but you're a fan of Wayne's no beard as well.
I like beards, like moustaches. If that's what we're going to talk about, well, let's do it.
As you'd expect, there's plenty of other stuff that we do need to talk about. Let's start by Tottenham versus Manchester City, because that's the game that at the time of recording we have literally just watched. And the big story really is that Manchester City were running away with that one 2-0 at half-time. Spurs clawed it back to 2-2. And I mean, well, it was a game of two halves and a big 45 minutes in the second half for Thomas Frank, Wayne, but also big in the title race overall.
Yeah, I think probably didn't see that result coming. I thought City would win comfortably there at Tottenham, and obviously with Villa as well, losing to Brentford. It's been a very good week for Arsenal, but I think that's a really good point for Tottenham after the result in midweek, and they've obviously finished in the top 8 in the Champions League, and then to go and get a point against Man City. I think it's been a good week, which Thomas Frank probably needed, because I think he was under a lot of pressure.
They've got 11 players out as well, so like to have a result like that against Manchester City.
Yeah, but I think with Tottenham, it was the same last season, so surely there has to be someone at the club has to be looking at why they keep getting these injuries. Is it something to do with the training pitches? What is it? Because they had a whole bunch of players out last season.
Wait, it can't be the training pitches. Do you not remember when we went there, bro?
I know, but
I was ready to move in.
They might be too good, they might be too hard, or you don't know. They might look great, but sometimes you can be too hard or too soft, and that has an impact. But it's strange that they keep picking up and getting a lot of injuries.
Jonathan, what have you made of the situation at Spurs? Because I imagine you've been watching it unfold, and it feels like every week, I mean, we've discussed it on this show a few times about Thomas Frank's future. It feels like, as I said, a big point for him. But what have you made of the way the season's gone on and the support that seemingly the board are showing?
Yeah, it's a funny one at Spurs, because at half-time, booed off. You were looking at Thomas Frank being the story of the weekend. Would he survive another week? He's been future's been discussed at Spurs recently. He's been close, but they have been backing him, as you say, Kelly. And what he has been doing is getting a response from his teams. I was at the Liverpool game that was similar, where they came back in the second half and did well. And the atmosphere at the end was completely different. The performance in the second half was completely different. He changed it. He put two up front. He'd argue that he hasn't had his best side out, and that when he gets players like Solanke on a run of games, it's going to be different. He's just doing enough to get by, isn't he? But those boos, they're not going to go away. I think that they just feel like they're just under the surface at that stadium.
I think on fans booing, because I was watching the Chelsea game as well, and seeing the Chelsea fans at half time, and I think even against Liverpool, the Arsenal fans might have had a few boos as well. And I think fans need to understand as well that you can lose games of football, and sometimes at half time you may be losing, but the effect that has on players when your own fans booing you. So I said it in the World Cup, didn't I? 2000, what year was that? I can't remember what year, but I said it in the World Cup, the effect it has on you when your own fans boo you. So I think it's just too easy nowadays, where the team's getting booed off at half time, you're still in the game. Let's try to get behind the team and try and help them win.
I think it's a compounding effect, though. I think when you what you're seeing on a pitch for weeks and months has been absolutely dire. I think it is hard to have that level of optimism.
I get that.
Yeah. I think, but you're quite right. I don't think you should ever boo your own players. I don't think it does any good, because I assume when you're on the pitch and you're losing, it's not like you're having a great time either, are you?
No, definitely not. No, but I get if obviously it's an ongoing thing and the fans are not happy with the manager, or they don't feel like the team are giving the effort, then I get that. I'm probably more going on about the Rooney one, because I think he's gone in, he's won 6 out of 7 games, I think it is. And then he's still getting booed at half time. So I think some Chelsea fans have probably made the mind up too quickly and not give him a chance when
it's happening at a lot of clubs, isn't it? It's happening at Liverpool, and that's happening to a manager that's won them the title. And from my side of the business, it used to be a real story when fans booed a team off at half time, and it's happening every week now. And in situations like Liverpool, you're finding it hard to write about it because you're not sure exactly what the reasons are, other than maybe, I don't know, short attention spans.
Yeah, but that's where I think, and this isn't me being biased as well, by the way, I think that's where the Man United fans are the best. Because
not biased at all.
No, I'm this is my honest opinion, I think, because you'd be seeing them stand by Ten Hag and even Amarin as well. I've very rarely heard the fans boo the team off at half time or at the end of the game. They always do support them when they go off. So
we'll talk about United later in the show, Wayne, unsurprisingly. Let's just talk about the title race a bit more and the other side of Manchester. I said it felt like a big 2 points drop for Manchester City. And I mean, Mikel Arteta will be a happy man tonight, won't you, Wayne?
Yeah, he will. Do you know what? It's been a good couple of weeks for Arsenal. I know the point, I said it after the game, I thought the point against Forest was a really good point for Arsenal. And then obviously with City and Villa dropping points then, and for them both to drop points again this week, I think it's going to be, I'm finding it difficult to see anyone but Arsenal win the title from this stage, because I think the squad, the belief they seem to have. I thought Mikel Arteta's how he communicated this week in the media and his messages he was putting out there, what he's given to his players, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And I think that's a big difference from maybe how he was a year or 2 years ago. He's got that experience. He seems a lot calmer.
Yeah, there's a lack of consistency from everyone, isn't there? It's just like nobody else has got the sort of metal at the moment to be able to string a run of games together like Arsenal do. They're, no matter what happens, they're able to sort of grind out certain results.
Jonathan, have you noticed a difference in Mikel Arteta and maybe Arsenal this season when you've covered them? Do you hear what Wayne's saying there?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was at Leeds yesterday, and it was one of the most complete performances I've seen from a team this season. Arsenal won the sort of physical battle in the first half. Elland Road was really up for the game, so they had to withstand that pressure, but mentally they were strong. They overpowered Leeds, scored from set pieces, and then the second half they played some lovely stuff, scored some great goals. And Daniel Farke afterwards said this thing that every question we asked them, they had an answer to. And like Kai's saying, they're the only team that's doing that. No one else has been able to get to that level. And I think, as Wayne noted, Mikel Arteta has played a massive part in that. He was so strong this week after the United game in saying, let's enjoy the title race. Let's show what we can do. Let's play with courage. And looking at them yesterday, they seem to take that message on board.
1 win in 6 now for Manchester City. You talked there about consistency, and it does feel like Arsenal are the only team that are able to string a run of results together. What do you think's not quite right there at the moment, Wayne?
You don't know. It can be a number of things, and as good as Semenyo's been since he's come in, and he's obviously scoring goals, he's been really good, and Gay obviously coming in. You don't know what effect that has on other players who maybe are missing out on playing, and they have relationships with other players. So does that bring them down? But I just think they've lost that cutting edge, and I feel if Haaland isn't at his best or isn't scoring, then they struggle to win. So yeah, they went through a phase where they looked like they were back to where they have been over the last few years this season, but that's just tailed off a little bit, and I think there's no surprise that comes with Haaland not scoring as many goals as he normally does.
I think they've lost a lot of leaders in that dressing room as well. Like players like Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan. These guys were proper leaders, and I think it's going to take some time. It's a bit of a transition period. I remember at United when, like, you started to come into the team, Wayne. We were sort of transitioning out from Van Nistelrooy and the likes to you guys, and there was a period where we weren't winning leagues and stuff. Could you sense the transition when you were there, and how was that when you were in the dressing room? Because I feel like that's sort of what's happening at City right now.
Yeah, we knew, obviously there's parts of the talks you'd have before you join the club, and what the next few years look like, and are we going to be challenging for the league, or are we looking at younger players like obviously myself come in, Ronaldo come in the year before me, and we have Fletch coming through as well at the time, and so yeah, we knew that was the case, and to be honest, I was lurking on Van Nistelrooy. I wanted the number 10 shirt, so I was waiting for him to go anyway. I was waiting for him to go anyway to get the number 10 shirt, but yeah, no, you could feel it, and Ruud could feel that as well. I think you could see that in Ruud's. He was the main man, and then all of a sudden you've got myself and Cristiano coming through and almost pushing him out. So I think we could all feel something was happening and changing, and for the better.
There's definitely transition happening. They've bought a whole new team in the last calendar year, but I think when you got a transition, you need your foundations to be solid, and the injuries in defence have just killed them. I think they lost Diaz and Guardiola at New Year. Since then, 1 win in 6. They've lost 2 second half goals against United, 2 second half goals against Spurs, late goal against Chelsea, and that they haven't been able to fall back on anything while Haaland's not been firing well. They've been trying to blend in new players. Gay had a good game today, but it wasn't enough. You're looking at the rest of the defence is Kusanov, and it's Nunes, or it's O'Reilly went back there. That's kind of a young, naive defence, and Rodri's not at his best. So I think at the time that they've been trying to blend a new team, they just haven't had the solidity as well.
Sometimes as well, I think you go back to, you look at all successful, I know obviously now it's changed because there's way more foreign players. Look at all the successful teams, they've always had a core of British or English players in that team, and City have obviously Stones being injured, Raheem Sterling leaving as well, and you go to all the teams, even looking at Arsenal now, you've got Declan Rice and Saka. You've always had that foundation of the team is being British, and I think City, well, I don't know if there's obviously brought Gay in, but I think they've maybe gone away from that a little bit, and maybe need to get back to that a little bit.
How much do you think the rumours of Guardiola's future could be affecting them as well? Wayne, you've been in dressing rooms when I'm sure you've heard managers are going or whatever. Do you think that could be affecting the players?
It depends on, we don't know whether he's staying or going. I think that's been rumoured for a few years now, and only Pep or his owners would know that. And yeah, I think it would affect them if they knew. I think same exactly what I was saying about Glasner. I don't think when the club are going through a tough period like they are, I don't think that was wise to come out and let the players know that. So yeah, I think it'd be tough if he was. But yeah, I think the players are professional. They're successful players. They've won a lot of trophies. So I think they've hit a bad run of form at the wrong time.
Jonathan, what are you hearing about Guardiola's future and what's going on there?
Look, no one's entirely sure, but the prevailing, I suppose the prevailing wisdom is, he's probably going to go. I don't think he knows himself, but if you talk to people in the game, agents, players, other managers, there's a sort of expectancy that this could be it for him. I think tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary of when his appointment was announced. To do 10 years seems a kind of neat and tidy thing. I just wonder if the season ends badly, that might actually persuade him to stay and see out his contract, which has got one more year, because he is a winner, and I couldn't see him wanting to go out on a low. And when he was worried about his future, or thinking about his future last year, one of the things that made him sign a new contract was a desire to go out on a high. So I think he'll want to do that.
I think you've got to give him a lot of credit as well, because obviously he's been very successful, but to come to England and spend 10 years at one club when arguably he could win anywhere in the world, really, if he wanted to any club. So to stay at one club for 10 years, I think you've got to give him a massive amount of respect for them.
And it's the cycles that come within that, isn't it? Like, he's not just been successful for a couple of years. He's rebuilt teams during that period as well, which is probably almost harder, no?
It's nice when you've got a blank check in it.
I didn't know that's where we were going there.
I was trying to be no, but it's sustained success. And
yeah, and but I think, but what he has done, he's created a legacy at Man City, and he's created a culture and environment at the football club right throughout the academy. Which, since obviously he's been in, you've seen the academy teams how they play. He's got he's put a foundation down for that club, and his legacy will live on forever for sure.
Would you say, Jonathan, he's had the biggest influence on English football in perhaps the post-war era? How would you kind of mark what he's done? But I more meant in terms of style and in that sense.
Yeah, he has definitely for that. And when you see in National League teams, playing out from the back, in which that's definitely come from, and you've seen all young coaches now trying to play in a similar way to where. So he's definitely influenced English football tactically.
My daughter's under 11 team were trying to play out from the back today for the first time. It didn't really work, but no. Well, they got to like the goalkeeper pass to the defender, and then they were stuck. But it was the thought that counts. But that wouldn't have happened without Pep, would it?
I think, to his credit, he did adapt as well when he came into the Premier League. Sorry, I remember the first year where he didn't understand things. Sorry, I remember in his first year where he didn't understand what second balls were.
I really want them to have to leave that in the edit, so I'm going to say at this point that Kay's got a gig later, and that was some security warning, was it? I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, it's just a stage warning. But yeah, like he didn't know what things like second balls were because he'd never heard of them and stuff, and it was like him having to adapt to that, and then the style of play that he was implementing. But I think the shouts of like best manager ever in the Premier League, I think is a bit exaggerated. I think when you look at what Sir Alex Ferguson done as well with sides like St Mirren and Aberdeen, it's very, very different to what Pep Guardiola has had to work with in his career.
Are you bringing up the money again?
Well, no, I mean, you can't hide from it. Like everywhere he's gone, he has been backed. And to be honest with you, if you're a successful manager, I can't fault him. I'd go to the clubs that have the best resources available as well, because it allows me to showcase my ability. So, I mean, I'd do the same thing in his situation. Like, I'd do that on Football Manager.
Okay, then moving on. We've already spoken about teams in transition and the fact that Pep has taken Manchester City through transition and is potentially taking them through another at the moment. Liverpool have certainly been in one this season, but they were brilliant, weren't they, against Newcastle? They won 4-1 at Anfield on Saturday night. Wayne, firstly, just what do you make of Hugo Ekitike from one centre-forward to another and the partnership that's blossoming between him and Florian Wirtz?
Yeah, they look good, don't they? And I'd be more worried if I was Isak sat there watching, because obviously they paid a lot of money for him, and these two seem to be having a real good understanding of each other's game, and they look a real threat. I thought Ekitike's second goal in particular was brilliant. Reminded me of Romario, the little toe poke goal. But yeah, no, it's instinctive, and he's been. Probably for me, him and Xhaka at Sunderland, probably been the two best signings in the league. I think I really enjoy watching Ekitike play.
15 goals and 4 assists since his debut. Only Erling Haaland has been involved in more goals for a Premier League side. It does feel like, Kay, if Liverpool are going to get some consistency, they're going to be central to it, and they could be central for the next few years.
Yeah, it is worrying. I mean, when I see how good Ekitike is, it's just I remember in the summer there were shouts about like who's better, Sesko or Ekitike, and you're looking at it now. I don't even think it's a comparison to be made at the moment. The way Ekitike's been moving in the league. It is frightening, and I am jealous that they've got him. And I'm even worried for the World Cup, because if you could get Ekitike and Mbappe working together in some sort of system, that is going to be a lethal combination. And honestly, like it is scary. But you don't see a lot of forwards and that are really lighting up world football right now. And I think Ekitike is probably one star to watch. And for me, I just can't for the life of me understand why Arsenal weren't in for him. Like I think when I look at him, and Alexander Isak, they were ready made for them, and for them to go to Victor Gyökeres instead, it's
Yeah, I think with that though, I think when you see what Gyökeres done, I know it was obviously in a different country, but you know he was scoring more goals than anyone. He was absolutely on fire. So I still think I've backed Gyökeres this season. I think people give me a bit of stick, but I still think he's making a difference to Arsenal. I really do. I think he's occupying defenders, and that's helping him. So I know he hasn't got the goals or assists which you'd want from your centre forward, but I still think he is having an impact.
Would you take him over Ekitike then?
No. No, I think Ekitike is just he's the type of player I like to watch. He's not a number 9, he's not a number 10. He drifts out wide, he gets on the ball, brings players into the game, and he can score goals. So he's got a bit of everything really. So it's them type of players who really I enjoy watching more.
They play with a bit of fluidity, isn't it?
It's arrogance as well, and confidence. And I think if you look at Sesko, for instance, at Man United at the minute, he looks like he needs a bit of guidance and a bit of help when he's on the pitch. I know he's obviously scored the winning goal today, thankfully, but he looks like he needs a bit of help and guidance. Where Ekitike, you look like he can just put on the pitch, and he's got that swagger about him, which I think you need to be at that top level.
Yeah, you don't want a humble striker. You want a striker that's sort of a bit of an idiot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a bit of a bell at times.
I'm glad you stopped yourself midway through, bit of an idiot.
No, but you do know what I mean. Like you want someone that's like that looks like he just goes, "Oh, give me the ball. Let me do something."
If you go to the Premier League, look at some of the best ones. You know, you look at Cantona, Bergkamp had edges to him. Di Canio even. You normally all them like iconic players add something a bit
bit different. Ekitike is a funny one because I think because he had that brief spell at Paris Saint-Germain and it didn't work out for him. That's the reason that maybe there weren't more top clubs in for him, that they thought, well, maybe he can't do it at the very highest level. And actually, when you look at it, he was just there at the wrong time. He'd suit PSG beautifully now. He was just a couple of years too early. And Liverpool haven't got everything right this season, but you have to say that is a sensational signing. And they are transitioning in front of our eyes to a team that was built around Salah to a different model.
It's the midfield, and the midfield's a big problem for them, I think, and the defence as well.
Yeah. The midfield's caught them by surprise, I think, with McAllister going off form and maybe even Gravenberch to an extent. But at the top of the pitch, I think they see their future as being a number 9 and a number 10 after 10 years of having Salah and Mane or another player that scores from wide. I think they're going back to that number 9, number 10. And not everything's gone right, but in Wirtz and Ekitike, they've probably got them.
So is the Salah era over?
It will be at the end of the season, you'd imagine. I think he's an incredible player in what he's done for the Premier League and for Liverpool. One of the best to ever play in the Premier League, I think. But I just think, unfortunately, his legs have gone a little bit. I watched him in the African Cup of Nations as well, and he's not moving as well as as quick as he used to, and which is no fault of his own. That happens. That happens to players, and I think you've probably seen the end of him from the summer on, I'd say.
I'm foreseeing a repeat of the Virgil van Dijk post-match incident with Salah coming over when you're next live on TV, Wayne, after he scored a goal in the Champions League, and you'll be going, "All right, Mo."
Yeah, no, but I think it's there for everyone to see, and it was the same with Virgil van Dijk at the start of the season, which it's really that's forms carried on throughout the season. Really, he's not really had a great season. So yeah, that's what I feel anyway.
It's going to be a kind of a tricky thing for Slot to deal with, isn't it, Jonathan? How he kind of handles this summer with having all these superstars. I don't know if I've been lucky enough actually to sit down and do football interviews with Wirtz and with Ekitike this season. And the one thing that really struck me with Ekitike was, you mentioned that PSG spell. He's kind of got a bit of that big player kind of ego about him. And although it didn't go very well at PSG, he really spoke about like all the players that he was there with and how he learned. And I think that's kind of added a bit of fuel to his fire. So I think he's got an ego in a good way. And all of a sudden, Slot's got to kind of manage all of
He's
those.
got quite a lot to manage, isn't he? Because you think of the Salah situation, I agree with Wayne. I could see this being his last season, but he's got to manage the Isak situation when Isak's back. You know, well as Ekitike is doing, you can't have £125 million sitting on the bench. So he's probably got to find a way to get him in and play them both together. And then, as I said earlier, there's something about him that the fans aren't buying at the moment, Slot. I don't get it personally, but he's got to reconnect there as well. So it's a tricky time for him. It is an awkward time for him, and maybe it's just a delayed reaction to Klopp going as well.
I think, John, on that, I think, I've said this before, I think the Dutch are really honest in how they speak, and I've worked with 3 Dutch managers, and I think when they speak in the media as well, Van Gaal, you'll know, he's too honest at times, and I think where Slot, when he's saying after the game about low blocks and trying to break them down, I think what he's trying to do is just explain. I don't think he's making excuses. He's trying to explain why they find it difficult. And I think the fans are jumping on it. I think he's making excuses. So I just think with Dutch managers, they do try and explain everything, and sometimes it doesn't get taken in that way. I think the Liverpool fans are thinking he's always making excuses when he don't win games.
I was going to say, it might not even be his problem to figure out in the summer. I think if they don't finish in the top 4, I think he's gone. Yeah, I think he's gone. I think Xabi Alonso's waiting in the wings. It looks ready-made.
Stevie's back doing the TV as well now, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I think it's Xabi. I think Xabi Alonso being a free agent. I'm
not sure for Alonso for Liverpool.
You're not?
No.
Why do you not? Because 70% win rate at Real Madrid.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Premier League's different. You go to Real Madrid, then I just don't know. I'm just not sure on him.
I mean, for me, Slot's done more in his career. He's won the Premier League. He's won the Dutch League. But Alonso's got the emotional appeal, and that it is a factor that's not helping him. I've spoken to fans about Xabi being free, and it's that dream return. But I think if they're being logical, they'd look at Arne Slot and think he's already won us a league, and he did the hardest thing, which was replacing Klopp in that first season. So just stick with it.
Yeah, and he's having the opportunity now to build his first Liverpool team, isn't he, really? Because they didn't make any signings last year. So I guess the end of this season, Wayne, is going to be really important, isn't it? Because we're starting to see that transition.
I think everyone's praised Liverpool in the recruitment and how they've ran the club over the last 10 years, whatever. And some of the signs they brought in and then turned them over, or they've been great players for them. But they seem to have changed this year, and Arne Slot had to deal, as we said before, with a lot of players coming in for big money, and just almost, whether they were his signings or it was the club policy, they've brought the players in. He's had to deal with a lot of big players and big price tags coming in, and that's not easy as well.
Very good point. Interesting there. You really try. I feel like you might be Alonso's agent, Kay. I feel like you've mentioned him a couple of times on this podcast.
I just think what the sentiment around Liverpool fans is they're not really having Slot, and I just think when the fans aren't having you, it's just it is very hard for you to be able to keep your job. I don't know. Jonathan might know better than I would do, but
it felt a bit different yesterday watching the game, though. I don't know, just watching it on TV. It felt like Anfield. Maybe it was the emotion with Konate and everything as well, but it felt like the team, it felt a bit more like Liverpool were before. I wasn't at the game, I was just watching on TV, and I wonder if he brings that back, the Liverpool fans will get back on board. I don't know, Jonathan, what you think? I think
it's just such a weird time for, as we've said earlier, with fans generally. The thing that struck me with the Liverpool thing is it's not just supporters. It's actually, if I speak to like kind of Liverpool fan media, Liverpool journalists, some pretty clued up people have turned against Slot as well. That's hard. But For me, they've got a very clever ownership and clever sporting director there who does shut out the noise. I think he'll get a bit more time, and I think a bit of success would actually dampen it down. So if there's a Champions League win, if they're not going to win the title this year, but if a bit of success would help. I find it odd. But it is where we are.
Have you interviewed Slot, Jonathan? Because he's someone that I would love to interview. I've never actually interviewed him, and I'm kind of quite fascinated by him. I've
been asking Kelly, but no, he hasn't done any newspaper one-on-ones yet. I've enjoyed the interactions in press conferences, though. He is honest, as Wayne said. He's got a bit of a sense of humour. I mean, his jokes are a bit heavy, and he kind of laughs at them himself. But you can see there's a character there. I think he talks really well. I think I know he's frustrated at how he's been treated this season, and he's clearly too polite to say that, but you see it coming out a little bit in interviews. He's bound to be, and he's bound to have an ego on him as well. That he keeps well hidden. It must be pretty bruising to win and then not be loved as much as you should be.
The problem I think he's had is win the Premier League in his first season.
If he'd done it the other way round, it feels like it might be a different situation.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think winning him, and then with the players who've come in, I was part of that as well. I thought Liverpool would run away with the league this year, and I think that's probably what all the fans thought. So because that hasn't happened, I think that's probably annoyed the fans a little bit more as well.
They miss Klopp. They miss Klopp. You can't blame them for missing Klopp as well, by the way. That's the elephant in the room, isn't it? No matter what Arne Slot does or says, he's not going to be Jurgen Klopp, and he can't get around that.
Yeah, but no one else is going to be Jurgen Klopp. So at some point, they've got to love another manager, haven't they? Maybe some of the fans do as well. It's hard because none of us, of course, are Liverpool fans. Before we move on from Liverpool, I did just want another word on Florian Wirtz, because it feels like we have just praised Hugo Ekitike to the hill, but we have to also kind of recognise Florian Wirtz's part in this Liverpool kind of revival, Wayne, because he had a tough start and many people were questioning him. As I mentioned, I went and interviewed him last week, and what a lovely, humble, just gently spoken but really eloquent young man he was. And you can tell he's shy, but he's kind of coming out of himself, and you can see it on the pitch now, can't you?
Yeah, no, and I think to start the season as well, he did have good moments, even when he weren't playing that well. He was creating chances and he had opportunities to score, but just didn't take them. So he did have good moments in that as well. And but yeah, I think he's coming into his own. His movement is really good, and even his little what goal was it? His cutback for Ekitike's first one. That's a vision which is very, not many players have that vision to see that. And he normally snatches the shot. So yeah, I think he's a creative player, and I think, as you said before, that relationship with Ekitike will only grow. But he's got something a little bit different for it, and I really like him.
What do you think Alexander Isak is thinking? Hearing all of these conversations, watching all of these games, Wayne, because there was pressure on him with a big price tag. When he comes back, there's going to be even more, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's his own fault. He didn't train with Newcastle. There's no harm in leaving Newcastle for Liverpool. I think logically, probably 9 out of 10 Newcastle players would do that now. But I think the way he went about it and not training with the team, he left himself short without a pre-season. And then he picked up his first injury. I know the second one is a tackle, but he hasn't been match fit since he's been at Liverpool, I don't think. And
that must be hard for him, mustn't it? Mentally as well.
Yeah, well, we always talk about the mental side of the game, and so there's big pressure playing at big clubs. He knows that Newcastle's a big club. Newcastle, their fan base, I can imagine that being a tough team to play for. With how passionate the Newcastle fans are, so he'll have known and expected that. But his Liverpool career just hasn't got up and going yet.
What squad they'll have next season if he's fit?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay, well, I've made you all wait, but we are going to talk about Man United. Another win. Wayne, you were there today. We liked your photo on Instagram of one of your boys with Bruno Fernandes after the game. Imagine he was very happy and you are as well. What did you notice from being at the game?
Yeah, I think what I thought, really. Well, we've seen the last couple of games. Man United have dug in and, been hard to play against, resilient. A lot more running than we've seen of them in under the previous manager, and looked like they had a plan. And I think the same. I thought Ahmed was brilliant again today. I think he's the biggest threat for United today, and Dalot as well. I think Dalot's had a lot of stick, but I thought he was good today. But I think the main changes for Man United is having Harry Maguire and Martinez and Casemiro and Kobe Mainu in front of them. Obviously, we can talk about Bruno. He's Man United's best player. But I think having that box of them four has been crucial for Man United, and biggest compliment I can give them is when Fulham equalised. I felt like Man United were going to go and get the winner, and again Bruno, bit of magic from him, and a great finish from Sesko. So yeah, enjoyed it. Another good win, marching up the table.
I thought exactly the same thing. When they equalised, I was like, we're going to win this. And it showed. Like, I think what Michael Carrick's done is he's not only got a belief in a team, I think he's got a belief in a fan base now. I think there's a confidence. Everybody's got their heads up.
There's a connection. There's a connection to the fans, isn't there? And I think that's been missing as well. And even sat there, obviously I was in the director's box and looking down at Michael, there's a calmness. You look at Ruben Amorim.
You didn't wear your pyjamas, did you?
No, not today. But there's a real calmness when you look down there, and that definitely goes through to the players. And then when you see Ruben Amorim marching up and down, and as a player, you just want to play. You've had your instructions. You've tactically worked on whatever you're working on for the game. You don't need the manager kicking every ball and being there. As some players maybe do. I don't know. I didn't. But there felt like a real calmness there today.
It does feel like a big change, doesn't it, Jonathan? As a fellow neutral, Man United fans are becoming, I don't want to say unbearable, but these two are a little bit.
Listen, if we win every game to the end of the season, 21's coming.
Oh my word! It's a massive change, though. I was at the derby, and it was Old Trafford. I've been reporting on United for 20 odd years, and it did remind me of old times. United looked like United. Old Trafford felt like Old Trafford again. I think Carrick's already equalled the best winning run that Amorim ever put together. It's taken him 4 games to do it. Yeah. I think what Wayne says is spot on about Michael. He's calm. I think when he's there, it's not about him. Whereas with Ruben Amorim, I always felt it was a little bit the Ruben Amorim show, and everyone was trying to fit into his vision of football, and he wasn't necessarily trying to fit into the club he was at. So there's a naturalness there. Obviously, it's early days with Carrick, but the team looks like a United team again.
Wayne, did you get a chance to see him after the game or anything? And have you been able to see him socially since he's taken over, or has he been just ridiculously busy?
No, yeah, he's obviously been busy. But no, I didn't see him after the game. But no, I think there's a feeling again around. I know it's 3 games, but there's this feeling of if you feel. I don't know. It's just
feels like a family again, though.
Yeah,
doesn't
it does. Yeah.
Wayne, you also said when you logged on before we started recording, you said even when Fulham scored, you always felt like Manchester United were going to score again, and that probably is a feeling you didn't always get under Amorim.
Yeah, I did, and I don't know why I had a feeling that they'd go and score and win the game, but yeah, I didn't get that with Ruben. But yeah, no, I think it's where they've tried Ten Hag, they've tried Amorim. I think Michael's doing a really good job, and whatever anyone else says, if he continues with this form till the end of the season, then they have to give him the job. So will they have to?
I was seeing people say if they don't, then they'll get the wrong manager again and then go back to Carrick again.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be there waiting again if they don't give it.
Well, no, if he ends the season like he started this one. Sorry, Jonathan, I cut over you.
No, I was actually just gonna. I wonder what Wayne and Kay thinks possible for United this season. I mean,
We heard Kay thinks they're going to win the league.
No, I don't think. I mean, look, that was tongue in cheek. Look, I think top 4, maybe even top 3 is a realistic ambition, and I think that can happen. And I think having one game a week really helps us at the moment as well. I think while you've got a new manager, he's able to implement his style. Steve Holland's able to get some time with them on a pitch as well, and it's paying dividends. And I think, yeah, top 4. If we get top 4 Champions League and Casemiro bows out, with all smiles, it'll be great.
I think there's downsides to having one game a week as well, which in terms of for the start 11, great, but there's not many games to give players an opportunity to play. So I think we're probably going to see a consistent start 11. So that's the job now, Michael. That's his biggest job now, is keeping them players. Like we've seen Cunha come off the bench and score against Arsenal. He starts the game today and scored, obviously. Sesko's on the bench. But players find it hard to sit on the bench for more than 2 or 3 games. And then that's the issue Michael's going to have, and that's the biggest challenge, I think, from now to the end of the season.
But it is great when we win because you've got a week to milk it. So
yeah, exactly. and then when your sub comes on and scores the winner.
Yeah.
So it's always a great feeling.
Okay, that's where we'll leave it then. Jonathan, thank you so much for being with us today. I imagine it's been a busy weekend for you. So yeah, we really appreciate your time on this Sunday night.
Thanks very much.
Kate, enjoy the gig tonight. Don't want to make you late. Wayne will catch up again next week. A reminder, we'll be back again on Friday. You can watch The Wayne Rooney Show on the BBC Sport YouTube and iPlayer, and you can listen on BBC Sounds.